Following is a production of Locked Up Sports.
Hi, everyone. This is ESPN alum Bob Picozzi, and you are locked in to Locked Up Sports.
Can't wait.
When it comes to talking sports, they're the authority. It's Bob Walters and Brett Grasso. It's Locked Up Sports, and it starts now.
Bring them out, bring them out, hey. Bring them out, bring them out, yeah. Bring them out, bring them out, hey. Bring them out.
Here we go. Bob Walters from the Brian Gunzel Studios. This is Locked Up Sports. The Knicks season comes to an end. The Yankees get their biggest win of the season this afternoon. The Mets go for 3 in a row in Washington. And the Jets and Giants schedules are released. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I'm Bob Walters. I am flying solo today again as Brett, he's gone fishing. Listen, Brett goes fishing. That's what he does, all right? Do we approve it here? We approve him to live his life the way he wants to live his life. So whatever he wants to do. Brett, don't worry. We got it. We got it under control here. I got it under control here. Don't worry about it. The Yankees just finished off a huge win. Huge win. I mean, it really doesn't get much bigger. They were down 6-0. They came all the way back. They scored 2 home runs by Judge, who looks like he's back. And that's on the heels of a just as big a win last night with dramatic home runs, late inning home runs. So the Yankees seem to be getting their things, a little bit together. At least they're still in last place. They're still now they're 7 games back of the Rays. But hey, listen, they're playing better baseball. The Mets are playing better. They're just underway now, and they trail 1-0, as I have it on right here in front of me here in the Brian Gunzel studio. But where else can we start except last night with the New York Knicks and the Knicks season? Listen, be proud of this team. Knicks fans, I know it hurts. It hurts. It's a rough day today. Today's what could have been. We could have beat this team. We could have played better. But be proud of this team, and you could go into this offseason with a smile on your face. Because this team over exceeded anyone's expectations. 3-4 months ago, if I told you the Knicks would be playing in the second round of the playoffs, a game 6, you would have taken that in a heartbeat over anything. You would have taken that in a heartbeat. And the way it ended last night, listen, I mean, they had their chances. They caught a break with the flagrant one in the last minute to get two shots in the ball. Brunson hit the shots. They got the ball back, and then Brunson turned it over, and that was pretty much it right there. And you felt bad. You could see Brunson. You could see it was all over his face. He was so disappointed in himself. But you know what? Yeah, he could hold his head high too as well, because the Knicks are nowhere even close to this. Nowhere even close to getting into that scenario without Jalen Brunson. And he had another brilliant game last night. 41 points. He played 45 minutes. He was exhausted by the end of that game. Randall, again, not very good, Randall. The Knicks move the ball around, and then when it hits Randall, it just dies. The ball just dies with Randall. He'll look for a way to drive and then do a step back. And he's too big of a guy to be shooting step back jump shots and fade away 3-pointers. He's not Steph Curry. I mean, he's not. He hits them sometimes, but Randall did not have a good playoff. Last night, 15 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, and you know what? It wasn't even that good. It just wasn't good. The ball stopped at Randall. He missed some key shots. Mitchell Robinson, again, last night, only 2 points, and they were 2 free throws. They were relatively big free throws. I'll tell you what, with Mitchell Robinson, I don't know how those free throws ever go in. He throws it on a straight line at the rim and just hopes it kind of grazes the top of the rim and goes in. It's got to be a perfect shot for it to go in. I was told years and years ago, I was told by my Uncle Jimmy I was shooting basketball, and I would shoot it on a line a little bit. Not like Robinson, but I would shoot it on a line. And he taught me, he said, you got to arch it in. And, the rest is history. I never did anything as a basketball player, but he was right about that. But his free throws go on a direct line into the basket, and it's got to go perfect shot. So they're terrible that's why he's a terrible free throw shooter. But anyway, Robinson again, disappointment. Randall and Robinson. Randall, he just might be the type of player that's a really good regular season player, but when you make it to the playoffs and the defense intensifies and the level of play gets better and you're playing better teams, he might just be one of those players that he's not really going to ever play well in the playoffs or very well. He's not going to stand out. He's not going to carry a team. And, is Brunson that kind of player? Can Brunson carry a team to a title? I don't know. I'd say probably not. But this is really the first year where he entered kind of superstardom. The Knicks have themselves a superstar. And that's why I say, you can be proud of this team. Because they gave you a good season, a good, into Mother's Day weekend. You were watching Knicks basketball. You had a game 6 in a second round. Listen, if they would have lost game 5 at the Garden, got lost by 10 or 15 points, then I could see you being like, oh, what a disaster this was. We lost by 5. We lost in 5 to the Heat. We're a better team than the Heat and all that. And you could be disappointed. But when the Knicks won game 5 at the Garden and got this thing back to Miami, I think then they were playing with house money last night and they almost pulled it off. They came out of the gates great. They had a 14-point lead in the first quarter. And you thought, oh, wow, you know what? The Knicks are going to win this game because it's just a continuation of the last game. I mean, the Heat finally have turned, they finally turned back into the pumpkin that they were in the regular season because they were hitting threes all over the place in the first couple of games of this series, way above their average. And then in game 5, they kind of fell back down to earth with the threes. They did again last night. Last night again, only 7 of 27. But you thought maybe, okay, listen, the Knicks are going to blow them out here, and if they could ever get this back to the Garden for game 7, well, then we're in great shape. I would have felt very confident if the Knicks got it back. But for some reason, and I don't even know why you even bother saying the teams need a good start in the game, because in the NBA, it really is irrelevant how you start. Teams build 20-point leads, 15-point leads. They'll be down by a whole bunch, and it's a game of runs is what it is in the NBA. So the Knicks got off to the good start, 14-point lead, first quarter. By mid-second quarter, I mean, that thing was tied. They went into the half with the Heat with the Knicks had a 2-point lead at the half. And then in the third quarter, it was close. It was close all the way around. And then in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter is kind of where the Heat separated themselves. You had Lowry had a big game. He was all over the place. Kyle Lowry was all over the place. He made some big shots. He had a big dunk. The Knicks turned it over. The Knicks had a lot of empty possessions in the last 5 minutes of that game. Big empty possessions where they needed to score. Because that game was really over with a minute to go, except for the flagrant on Brunson when he got elbowed in the face, and it was the right call. And that was, those referees, I forget the referee's name, but he had refereed the last 9 games he refereed of the Miami Heats. They had lost, and that was all over talk radio yesterday, all over TV, and you usually never hear anything about the referees, and you heard about it yesterday, and then to have that call come up in the fourth quarter in the final minute, which could have been a season-ending or season-shifting call, because if the Knicks come back and win that game and they get those 4 points there, that's the call that changed the whole series. But of course, they hit the free throws. Brunson turned it over, and he had Hart up top. That was open, and I thought he was going to get it to him. I don't think he saw him till it was too late. He had 2 guys on him, and he just lost it. He lost control of the ball, and it is what it is. And the Heat are now advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they will play the winner of tomorrow's Game 7 between Boston and Philadelphia. So, the Knicks, listen, like I said, be proud of this Knicks team. Be proud of them. They gave you everything and more you could have ever asked for. They seem to finally have things on the right track. They finally have the right guys in here. Thibodeau, he did a hell of a job coaching. Now, is Thibodeau the guy that's going to take this Knicks team to the promised land? I don't know. Have they reached a ceiling with Thibodeau? They might have. He's not they might need a new voice in there. Now, he's not going to lose his job in this offseason. He's going to get to start the season next year because you can't fire him after this. I mean, come on. But is he going to be the coach when the Knicks take that next step? Is Thibodeau going to be the coach? I don't know. I'd say probably not, to be honest with you. I think it could be. Now, it's a bad analogy, but I think it could be like a Showalter type of situation with the Yankees. Now, that's not saying I think the Knicks are going to go on a 4 championships in 5-year run, because I don't, obviously. But I think it's kind of like that situation where Showalter got them up to the point, and then they got Torrey, and they went on their way, and the rest was history. But I don't think Thibodeau's going to be the guy. I think they kind of going to need a new voice in there. I think if they don't get off to a good start next year, Thibodeau could be in trouble. He doesn't really make in-game adjustments. I know that's everybody's critique of him. He doesn't change anything. He's set in his ways. Listen, his ways has been pretty good. Okay, he's been a very successful coach in this league. He was successful with multiple teams. He was successful as an assistant coach with the Knicks. You got to give him a chance to come back. And I know you're upset today, but I don't think when the Knicks get to that next level, if that's next year or the following year or whenever that is, with this group, I don't think Thibodeau is the coach. Other questions now for the Knicks in this offseason is this good enough to now recruit another superstar? Are the Knicks going to get another superstar? Can they get a superstar? Do superstars want to come here now? I mean, you saw the Garden. You saw that it's still a special place to play in the playoffs. You saw the way it was rocking. I saw it, and you saw it. Everybody else saw it. All those free agents saw it. Are they going to want to come here now? Now that they've heard about it. They heard about it from their parents. They heard about it from their older coaches. These guys are in their 20s. They've never seen it. This year they saw it. Okay, you could see that the Garden was something special. And maybe now they could get a star because, you know what, like I said, is Brunson the guy? Brunson can't be the number one star on a championship team. I know Brunson is a great player, and I know we love Brunson. But he's not a championship A1 player on a team, on a championship team that's going to carry a franchise to a title. He's not. He's an excellent point guard. He is the first point guard the Knicks have had since Charlie Ward or Chris Childs. I mean, that's a long time ago. He's the first one we've had here with the Knicks. So I think we kind of think he's better than he really is. Now, don't get me wrong. He had 41 points. He scored 40 multiple times. He had great series. But they need another star. In the NBA, you need another star. Okay? And Randall certainly is not that star. Because Randall, although third team, All-NBA, whatever it was, All-Star game, Randall has proven to you in this series and even in the last series, he's not a great big-time player. He's just not. And he's too big and too strong to be taking fadeaway step-back threes that really are not good shots. Not good shots at all. So I would say Randall's not the guy. Now Randall's going to be back. They got some decisions to make with some free agents. Josh Hart being A1 probably on the list. Now, do you want Hart back? Of course you want Hart back. Him and Brunson are great together. Him and Brunson are, they played in Villanova together. They won a title in Villanova together. They're, jokesters in the press conference. They seem to be best friends. Of course you want Hart back. But Hart's going to be making a lot of money now. Hart's going to demand a lot of money because of what he did here after being traded. He was as good as could be. He was the final piece to this Knicks team that put them into the level of play that they are, that allowed them to go to the second round this year. This team was borderline playoff team. And then they made the trade. They got Hart, and the team took off immediately. And I think the fact that he's such good friends and played so long with Brunson, I think that helps. I really do. I think that helps a lot. So there's that to answer. As far as the Heat go, listen, give Spoelstra give Spoelstra all the credit in the world. He's a hell of a coach. He's like we were saying last week with Brett. He's a top 10. He's a top 10 coach of all time, and you don't even think about it until you actually look at his body of work, and you're like, oh, you know what? He is, and what he does, he outcoached Thibodeau. The Knicks are a tough team, but the Heat were just a little bit tougher. They're more experienced. This was a first-time run for the Knicks. We said it last year with the Rangers. That this is a learning experience, and it is. It was a learning experience. Jalen Brunson's gonna be better next time. If he could, if you could be better, 41 points, 45 minutes in a game 6, but Brunson's gonna be better next time, next year. Hart's gonna be better. Next year will be his 3rd time in the playoffs if the Knicks are lucky enough to get there. The role players, they'll be better. They'll have seen it. They'll have done it. A lot of them were looking around with bright eyes, wide eyes in the Garden. Because like I said, they had never seen that before. They heard about it. They heard about it from their parents. They heard about it from their coaches. But now they've seen it. That the Garden's a special place. Especially when it comes to playoff time. Same thing with the Rangers. Now the Rangers went disappointed this year, and look what happened. Coach got fired. Because now there's expectations. And now with the Knicks, there will be expectations. That's just the way it is. There's going to be big expectations next year. We'll see what they do in the offseason. They ran roughshod over Cleveland, 4-1 in 5 games. Do they bring back Hart? Is Thibodeau going to be on a short leash? Those are all questions that have got to be answered. What do you do with Randall? I don't think anything, to be honest with you, with Randall. I don't think you do anything. I think you keep Randall and because he's going to, what he does? He's going to make you believe again in the regular season because he's a good regular season player. So he's going to make you believe again, and then you're going to go into the playoffs, it's going to be the same thing. Because he's not a playoff type of player. It's a different type of player. I'm sorry. The defensive play intensifies. The teams get better. The teams play harder. They just do. And I'm not sure Randall can handle that. So the Knicks lose last night, 96-92. The season comes to an end. Game 6 is the final game. They're eliminated in 6 by the Miami Heat. Listen, a good team. The Heat are a good team, and they're gonna give either Boston or Philadelphia. They're gonna give either of those teams hell in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's the second straight year they're there. They were in the finals in the COVID year. So give them credit. Give the Heat credit. They weren't a better team in the regular season. But in the playoffs, different game, different type of game. They were a better team this series as the Knicks fall in 6 games. And like I said, be proud of this Knicks team. Be proud of them. Because this is the best Knicks team we've had in 15 years. This team's better than the Carmelo team that won the 50 games. And not just because they made it to the second round. They're just better. And it's much better than the team, a couple years ago. And then before that, you got to go all the way back to the Starks and Ewing Knicks. So, and Randall, and I didn't like the comment Randall made either. Maybe they just want it more than us. You can't say that. Can you imagine Patrick Ewing saying that? He said the opposite, to be honest with you. Ewing would be like, we're going in to win. We're going to guarantee. Ewing would guarantee wins every series. I think 5 or 6 times against Jordan's teams, he guaranteed a win. And, they lost, and it got forgotten about. But you'd rather that, right, than have Randall stand in front of his locker or up at the podium and say, maybe they just want him more than us. What? Are you kidding me? Come on. Now, the late game last night was the Lakers and the Warriors. Game 6 in Golden State, in San Francisco. Warriors trying to hold on. And LeBron James just came out and scored 30 points and played, he showed everybody why he's the greatest or one of the greatest of all time, whichever side of that argument you happen to be on. 122-101 was the final there. And one of the craziest stats I heard, and I guess it's a stat, this is the first time the Warriors have been eliminated by a Western Conference team. First time they've been eliminated by a Western Conference team in the era since Steve Kerr became the head coach. 2014. You know what that means? That means that they have either won the title, lost the title, or did not make the playoffs, which only happened twice. Not making the playoffs. They won 4 titles. That's just crazy to me. So every time they make the playoffs, except for this year, they go to the finals. They did not this year. They got beat by, listen, they're an aging team, the Warriors. So are the Lakers, but the Lakers are just, they got, LeBron James, he carried the team. They were the better team in the series. I think they're the best team left in the Western Conference. I do think they're better than Denver. I know Jokic has been playing great and everything there, but I'm going to pick the Lakers because don't bet against LeBron. Don't bet against LeBron. That's the bottom line. Now, as far as the Warriors go, is it time to break this up? Is it done? Is it the end of the dynasty, of the era of the Warriors and the Curry and Draymond and that whole team? I'd say probably it is. I think this is probably the last you'll see of them, making a run into the playoffs. Curry still is great. Don't get me wrong, just a week ago, he was scoring 50 in a Game 7, so don't completely count them out. But are they going to be good enough, healthy enough to make a run into a conference final or a NBA final or win an NBA final again? I don't think so. So do they tear it down? Probably not. I'm sure Curry will convince them to go 1 or 2 more years is what will happen there. Go for it again. Because, who knows? But I don't think it's going to happen. And as far as the Lakers go, give the Lakers credit. Give them credit. They in the beginning of the season, nobody expected anything from this team. They were expected to be a bad team, miss the playoffs. They had a roster that made no sense. And here we are. They basically they coasted through the regular season. They got, they do talk of 2 weeks left of the season. They were talking of them missing the playoffs, having to play in the play-in game, what were they going to do? And they ended up making the playoffs. They won the first round. They've now beaten the Warriors in the second round. Give them credit. They're now in the Western Conference Finals. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win the Western Conference. I think they have a chance to beat whoever comes out of the East, whether it be Boston or Philadelphia or even Miami. I don't think it'll be Miami, but whether it be, one of those 3 teams, I think they have a chance to win. I think they might be the best team left with the most experience. I do. I think they could win the title this year. Now, there's a long way to go. They're only halfway home. They still got 8 wins to go. They still got a good Denver team standing in front of them in the Western Conference. And we'll see how that goes. In the baseball today, listen, the Yankees just had their biggest win of the season. Okay, the Yankees, after last night you had Rizzo Mandalorian bobblehead day. Tickets were through the roof for that. People were going crazy. They filled the building. The Yankees fell behind. Then they took the lead. And then they fell behind in the 8th inning again, giving up a home run. And then Rizzo hit his second home run of the game. A go-ahead home run, and the Yankees got a dramatic win last night. Dramatic win. A huge win. Then to come back today, and they fall behind, bam, like that, 6-0. 5th inning, it's 6-0. Grand slams by, who hit the grand slam today? Oh, Diaz hit the grand slam in the 5th inning, so they go down 6-0. And you think, okay, here we go. Last night was an aberration. They're going to lose again. They're just, ho-hum next couple innings and it's over. They come right back in the bottom of the 5th inning. Judge hits a home run. They get 5 in the inning to make it 6-5. And then it's back and forth the whole way. Judge has 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. The Yankees got 4 runs in the 5th. They got 5 runs in the 6th. And they win a wild one, 9-8 over the Rays. They're now 7 games behind the Rays. Still in last place in the division, but they're 7 games behind. They're playing better. They've now won 8 of 11, and they seem to have kind of gotten the season back on track. You got Judge back. Judge, 2 home runs. They breakout day today for Judge. Now he's back. He played unbelievable. He breakout right back. 2 home runs, 4 RBIs for Judge today, as the Yankees. They got their biggest win of the season. Yesterday was the biggest win of the season, and it was topped by today for the biggest win of their season. They're now 7 back. They got another game tomorrow. If they could take tomorrow's game and go 3 out of 4, then you never know. Then all bets are off. A week ago, we were talking about this team being dead, being sellers at the deadline, and now Now they can take 3 or 4 at home, because I was at the game, and I was at the game Thursday night. I was at the game Thursday night against Tampa. And, the blowout, 8-0 or 8-2. The Yankees finally got 2 runs in the 8th or in the 9th inning, and that place was dead. Okay, Tampa, I was sitting behind the Tampa dugout. They were having a great time. They were taunting the fans. They were throwing the fans balls, taunting them, yelling back as the fans were yelling at them. They were getting double after double, just ringing doubles off the wall off the Yankee pitching. The Yankees could do nothing. And then to come back last night and get that win in that kind of way, and then today to follow it up, falling behind 6-0. Cortez pitched terrible today. It all fell apart in the 5th inning. He pitched all right up until the 3rd, 4th inning, and then it just all fell apart. He lost the strike zone, 2 walks, base hit, grand slam, and it's 5-0. And you think, okay, here we go, it's over. They added another one, 6-0, and the Yankees came all the way back, and they win a wild back and forth game today at the stadium, 9-8. The Mets are in 3rd place still in their division. They're 6.5 back of the Braves. They still are okay, but it's not looking good. Okay? They've won 2 in a row against Washington, who is terrible. They're in a rain delay right now, down 1-0. Lindor started to hit, which helps. Okay, Lindor had a home run. He had the big hit last night, but the offense still is not doing anything. Lindor was the entire offense yesterday. He had a 3-run double in the 6th inning, and besides that, the Mets did nothing. Now, the Nationals are a bad team. They should be beating this team no problem. This is the part of the schedule where the Mets are supposed to get fat off of. The Tigers, the Reds, the Nationals. And they're struggling to get wins. Yeah, they've won 3 out of 4, 2 in a row. But you got Scherzer missing starts. Still, now, as per John Heyman yesterday on the Around the Bases podcast, he said the Mets are worried about Scherzer's back. He said it could be a problem all season, that they're worried it could be a problem all season. And that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear that Scherzer? Because that's the worst fear. That's what always happens to Mets pitching. It's what happened to DeGrom. He goes out with an unknown industry, tightness here or soreness there, and then you don't see him for 2 months. Scherzer, you got saying, I'm trying like hell to stay off the IL. And then you get John Heyman coming out. Now, take what you will from John Heyman, right? We all know how he, did his thing with the judge and the Giants. But he comes out and says he's got a guy saying that the Mets are worried about Scherzer's back, that it could be something that's lingering. And you know what this is? This is a player getting old. This is what it looks like when a player gets old. Okay? Bumps and bruises, soreness, tightness, the back, the knees, stuff like that. It's supposed to be a week, miss a start. All of a sudden, it's 3 starts, 4 starts. Scherzer's getting old, and I think he might be finished. I don't think he's not a major league pitcher, but I think he might be finished as far as an ace, and that's big problems for the Mets. Now they got a huge start from Verlander last week. Again, in Cincinnati. It's not exactly, the Padres or the Dodgers, but he pitched the hell out of the game. He got a big win when the Mets needed it, and again, they didn't score runs. They won the game 2-1. They scored 3 runs last night. All 3 runs coming on a base hit, basically, by Lindor that scored 3 runs. Today, they're down 1-0. It's a rain delay. I don't know if they're going to finish that game. They just went into a rain delay about 20 minutes ago. They got the win last night. Take it what it is. They're 6.5 back. The Braves are playing unbelievable, as always. Braves are always playing great baseball. So we'll see how the Mets go. Now, Lucchese's pitching tonight. Lucchese, however you want to say it. Listen, Brett likes him. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him, to be honest with you. McGill pitched last night. This is not the rotation we wanted as Mets fans. We wanted Verlander, Scherzer, coming in stoppers. Even if we lost 3 games in a row, you had Verlander and Scherzer, 2 of the all-time greats. Now you got a banged-up Scherzer who's probably going to pitch tomorrow. From everything that I've heard, he's still on schedule to pitch tomorrow. He will probably pitch. Who knows what you're going to get out of him. Verlander is the only bright spot, and it's still, he missed the first month of the season. We saw 1 good start out of Verlander. We've only seen him twice, so let's hope that Verlander is still the pitcher that we thought he was, getting all that money. And we'll see what happens. But tomorrow, Scherzer's supposed to go. We'll see if they get rained out today, if they get this game going again. It's currently in a rain delay. They're down 1-0. And now what's going to happen is, if they do come back and play this game, it's going to have to be a bullpen game. Because you're not going to put Lucchesi back out there after sitting in the clubhouse for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it is. You're not going to run him back out there. So now you're going to be in the bullpen. It's the third inning. It's going to be a bullpen game. You're going to wear out your bullpen. And you got Scherzer going tomorrow, who neck, back, whatever he's got going on, elbow, who's not right. Okay? So now you're going to be counting on Scherzer tomorrow, if they play again today and it's a bullpen game, to go deep into the game. You need 7 innings. We're not paying him all this money to pitch 5 innings, fall apart in the 6th. That's not why he's getting all this money. That's not why we got him. But ever since last year, since that Braves series, it's been on a steady decline. And it doesn't look good. This is, like I said, this is what it looks like when players get old. It just is. This is what players getting old looks like. They get tightness, they get soreness. I mean, he tried to play it off like, oh, I just slept on it wrong, the neck. I think he's getting old. He doesn't have the velocity he had. It kind of since that Brave series, it just took a nosedive, steady decline, and you hope he can get it back. I don't know. I don't think you're ever going to see the Scherzer, the ace star pitcher again. I think he could still be an asset to this team, and he could still help this team. But you're going to need Verlander. And without Scherzer, can the Mets even make it up? Can they make up a 7-game deficit against the Braves? Because the Braves are good, and the Braves are young. And the Mets don't hit. You got these kids still in the minors. They still haven't brought them up. You got Vogelback, who's hit a little bit better. You got Kana, who's no good. You got holes all over the lineup. They're getting 2-3 runs a game. I think they're 27th in runs scored for the season in the major leagues. That's not what you want. It's not what you want at all. So that's what the Mets and the Yankees. The Yankees seem to be getting it on track. Okay, the Yankees are getting it on track. Huge win last night. Even bigger win today. Coming back from down 6 runs. You got Rizzo hitting. You got the pitching still. The starting pitching for the Yankees, not great. Judge with 2 home runs today. So the Yankees are, now the Yankees seem to be getting it together. It's a long season. Both these teams can fall apart. Both these teams can get it going and get it together. It's just which one is going to be which. Now, last night in the NHL, the Panthers. Actually, you know what? Let's do the NFL schedules first. Okay, so the NFL schedules came out this week. They have the big schedule release party, schedule release show. They lead you up to it right after the draft. It's the dumbest thing ever. I'm sure 1 million people watched it. I'm sure everybody watched it because everybody gets all excited and they get anything the NFL throws out there. Everybody watches. They do the primetime ABC, ESPN schedule release show. They leak the schedule out. For like 2-3 days, they leak the schedule out. It's like a slow drip. You'll get, this is going to be the Sunday night game for the first week. This is going to be the Thanksgiving game. This is going to be the opening game. And they kind of slow drip it out. And then they have the show where they just release the whole thing. Now, it's stupid, I think, because I'll just find out. I find out the next day. I got it all right here. Right here in front of me. I didn't watch it a minute of the show. I got it all right here in front of me. So you got 18 weeks, as usual, 272 games, NFL games. It opens up with kind of a weird open. Detroit at Kansas City. Now, you knew it was going to be Kansas City. You knew it would be in Kansas City on that Thursday night. It's always the Super Bowl champion opening up at home, getting their rings and whatnot. They were opening up against Detroit. Is that a good choice? I guess Detroit up and coming. They had a good season last year. They just missed the playoffs, but they won that last week. It's not the dream matchup, but it is it's the opening day that the NFL has chosen. There are some things about the schedule. 23 Super Bowl rematches will be played this year during the regular season. 14 playoff rematches from last year will be played this year during the regular season. The last 2 MVPs of the league, Aaron Rodgers And the Jets will play the Chiefs in week 4. So you got the 2 MVPs playing each other. You got Super Bowl rematches, 23 of them. And you got 14 playoff rematches from last year. Now, locally here, the Jets and the Giants. Listen, the Giants got screwed here. I don't know how they worked it out. The Giants will play 7 of their first 9 road games. 7 of their first 9 games on the road. 7 of 9 on the road. I mean, what are they? I don't know how they worked that out. They open up against the Cowboys, which is kind of, at this point, come on. We've seen it a million times. The Giants open up. I feel like the Giants open up with the Cowboys every other year. It's home. It's at MetLife. They open up with the Cowboys. The Giants have a tough schedule. There are 11 primetime games between the Jets and the Giants. And I hate the primetime games. Sunday Night Football, I don't really need to watch Sunday Night Football, to be honest with you, except when it's the Jets and the Giants. I mean, by the time 8 o'clock on Sunday rolls around, I've seen enough football between college on Saturday, the NFL sometimes starting at 9 in the morning with these London games, right? They start at 9 in the morning with these London games, and you watch all the way up, and then you get to 8 o'clock, and your team still hasn't played. I'd rather them play Monday night than Sunday night, because Sunday by 8 o'clock, I'm kind of football out. That's what my wife says. She says, I'm football out. Turn the game off. So I'm not even a lot of times allowed to watch the Sunday night game. And I don't blame her, because it's been on all day Saturday, all day Sunday. You know, she's had enough. I've almost had enough, and I love it. So there'll be 11 primetime games. Now, for the Jets don't play primetime games, and when they do, it's Monday night. So the Jets have a couple Sunday nighters, and you know, I don't know why I'm complaining. This is what happens when your teams are good. This is what you get. You get primetime games. Now, they are banking heavy on the Jets and Giants to be putting them up 11 times in prime time. They're banking that both of them are going to be good. There are a couple late in the season that I guess they could flex out of the Sunday night game, but we'll see. The Jets will play 10 games at MetLife Stadium because they play the Giants this year, and it's a Giants home game. Now, people are saying, oh, the Jets listen, that when the Jets and Giants play, since it's mostly season ticket holders, it's going to be with Giants fans in there. It's going to be a Giants building when they play a home game, and it's the Jets and the Giants. When it's the Jets home game, it's mostly, there are some more Giants fans in the building, but it's mostly Jets fans. But the Jets don't have to travel that week. They get to practice at their practice center out there in Florham Park. So the Jets play 10 games at MetLife Stadium. The Giants, 7 of their first 9 games are on the road. So make that make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Whoever the NFL schedule maker is, whoever does it, I'm sure they have an explanation. I don't even know who it is. I don't know if it might even be a computer. I would imagine they just throw it into a computer, right? And then they sort out where, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, who's playing what. But the Giants do not play many, the Giants and Jets do not play many 1 o'clock Sunday games, which is my favorite. You know, 1 o'clock on Sunday is the NFL as far as I'm concerned. There's not as many of those for those teams. There are the London games. Listen, I'm not going to get too deep into it. I'm not going to sit here and go win, loss, win, loss, because you have no idea, especially with the NFL. The NFL's all over the place. Teams in last place last year that you think are going to be terrible are real good. It's a year-to-year. It's a week-to-week league. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste your time by sitting here going through the schedule because, to be honest with you, I don't really care. I can't believe that people actually watch it. Now, it's not as bad as people who make up mock drafts. Being excited for the NFL schedule release show is not as bad as someone who sits down and draws up 20 mock drafts over the course of the off season or the winter or in the middle of summer when everybody's at the beach and you're sitting there writing mock drafts. But we did that. We did that last week. So the Jets open up 9-11 Monday night against Buffalo. Must win, right? Must win. Win. You got to win. The Jets, and listen, when it comes to the Jets, I want to root for them. I do. I'm a Giants fan, but I want to root for the Jets. I don't hate the Jets because the Jets don't really win anything, right? So I'm not jealous of the Jets. I hate the Yankees because I'm a Mets fan and the Yankees have won my entire life, so I'm sick of it. When it comes to the Jets, I don't hate the Jets. I like the Jets. I root for the Jets. I'm a Giants fan, but I root for the Jets. I'm just waiting for the wheels to fall off this thing. I mean, can't you see it? Can't you see it just Jets being Jets? You know, just Rodgers drops back to pass, has a non-contact, goes down, non-contact knee injury or Achilles. I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm just waiting for it to happen because it's the Jets. I'm not going to believe they're going to be good and in Super Bowls and win Super Bowls. I don't care who they have a quarterback until it happens. You know, the Jets, I'm just kind of waiting for the shoe to drop. Week 1, Jets, Buffalo. Week 2, they're in Dallas. Week 3, home against New England. So that's the first 3 games for the Jets, right? You got to win the first. You got to win 2 out of those 3. You can't commit, especially week 1. They are going to get killed if they come in and if Buffalo comes into MetLife Monday night and beats them. Listen, Buffalo, I don't know if Buffalo was on the downside of if their opportunity or the window was closed, but a lot of people are saying it. They still have the quarterback. They lost 2 coordinators. Everybody's saying Buffalo on the other side of the top of the mountain, that they peaked and now they're heading downwards. I don't know. Because the Jets are still the Jets. Whether they have Aaron Rodgers, because he's still Aaron Rodgers, but he's got to put on a Jets uniform. And that's what scares me if you're a Jets fan. And that's what should scare you if you're a Jets fan. But week 1, you got to win that game. Because the media, the fans will be killing the Jets if they come out and put a stinker up on Monday night, national TV, week 1 with Aaron Rodgers and lose to the Bills. And then go to Dallas, which will be a tough game. Imagine that. Imagine that 0-2 coming back home to play New England and Belichick. Oh, forget it. Forget it. They'll be getting killed. They'll be fired. They'll be talking about firing the coach before even September's over. So it'll be crazy. Now, so that's that. That's with the NFL. Listen, that's all I got on the NFL. All right, I'm not big into the NFL schedule. I'm not big into anything NFL offseason. The combine, no. The draft, no. Schedule release, I could deal with the schedule release. I look at the schedule release. I don't look at the draft really, and I don't look at the combine, which is the biggest waste of time. But anyway, on we go. I wanted to touch on the Leafs and the Panthers last night. Okay, now the Florida Panthers, in the last week of the season, they played a game against the Rangers, second to last game of the season. The Rangers really weren't playing for anything. They were already settled into where they were going to be in the playoffs. The Panthers were still behind the Penguins. The Islanders were in the mix, and there were 2 other teams. The Panthers were the bottom of that list. Of 4 teams, 2 of them were going to make the playoffs. So the Panthers need to beat the Rangers, win their next game, and they needed collapses basically from the Penguins and a couple other teams just to get into the playoffs. They beat the Rangers in shootouts that night. 1-0 or something like that in shootouts. They won a miracle game there. Then they got the help they needed. They got themselves into the playoffs. They then beat the greatest regular season team we've ever seen, the Boston Bruins, who were 43 points more than the Panthers during the regular season. 43 points. That's like 20 wins. Okay? Then they went to Toronto. Now, Toronto coming off their first series win in 14 years. They got the whole the whole city of Toronto going crazy because it's Canada. They're crazy about the Leafs. It's an original 6. And they come in and they beat Toronto in 5 games. They won last night 3-2 in overtime. After beating Boston in game 7 overtime, they win this series in overtime. This is one of the most unlikely, crazy runs we've ever seen. Because now they're into the conference finals. Okay, they got Bobrovsky in goal, who's just been lights out, stopping everything. The Leafs were star-powered. John Tavares, the whole deal. Now they're ready to the Leafs fans. I actually read a tweet. I'm going to read it to you in a second. It's from at Leafs Last Cup. Okay? And the tweet is this. 20,465 days since the last cup. 7,669 days since the last winning second-round series. 1,175 days since they last lost to an AHL Zamboni driver. Goalie. That was the third string that came in last year, if you remember. 0 days since being eliminated. The Leafs have just disappoint after disappoint. But the story here is not the Leafs. The story is the Florida Panthers. They've made it to the Eastern. They made it to the conference finals now for the second time in franchise history. The first time they were also an 8 seed with John Van Beesbrook in goal. Took them to the Stanley Cup Finals where they lost. Now this year, it amazes me. I've been watching this team and they just kind of hit their stride and they have just played unbelievable hockey. The upset against the Bruins was one of the all-time great upsets. It rivals any upset you could throw at me. It rivals anything. So the Panthers are in to the conference finals, and they will play now the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes dismantled the Devils. Not very close. Not really a very good series. Devils got blown out in the first 2 games. They blew Carolina out in Game 3 to make it 2-1, and then Carolina beat them in Games 4 and Game 5 in overtime. And now you have the Panthers and the Hurricanes. And I'll be rooting hard for the Florida Panthers. All right, so that pretty much does it for us here today. We want to wish everybody, all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. I also wanted to say that this is Correction Officer Appreciation Week. And since I'm a correction officer, the show is Locked Up Sports. Listen, thank a correction officer if you see him, all right? Do yourself a favor. They do a lot for us. You don't even realize what we do in there. We go through hell in there. If you know one, if you happen to know one, if you see one, just say thank you. And of course, to the mothers, happy Mother's Day to my mom. Happy Mother's Day to my wife, who's about to make me a father. She's about to be a mom for the second time. Done a hell of a job on the pregnancy. Everything going right. So, quick recap. The Knicks, be proud of the Knicks, folks. It was a great season. You never expected this. They gave you into the almost summer. There was a 90-degree day, and there was a Knicks game that day. Be proud of them. They lost to a more tougher team, the Heat. They weren't a championship. They're not ready to be a championship team yet. You know that. It's going to be disappointing. I get it. Yankees, huge win last night. Even bigger win this afternoon. Okay? The Yankees seem to be getting it back on track. The pitching still struggles. The starting pitching has been struggling. But they seem like they're going to give us a season. Okay? The Mets, all you need to know about the Mets is Scherzer. The Mets are worried about Scherzer's back the rest of the season. Not good news. Terrible news. The offense, non-existent. Lindor got a 3-run hit last night, 3-run base hit. That's the only reason they beat the Nationals. Okay, they're playing basically 500, below 500 ball against the Tigers, the Reds, and the Nationals. They're in a rain delay currently. Scherzer pitches tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if he even makes the start. I believe he will. NFL schedules came out this week. Yeah, I told you everything I need to know about that. Florida Panthers, unbelievable. And that pretty much does it. So enjoy your Mother's Day. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, everybody. Next week we have a big interview. We have Jack Curry joining the show. Yankees, Yes Network, pregame, postgame analyst. You know him. You know the voice. You know you know what he looks like. You know who he is. He also is an author, and he wrote a book about the 98 Yankees. So we're going to talk with Jack Curry next week about that book. Should be we're excited for it. It's going to be a great spot. That does it for me here today. I'll talk to you Monday, everybody. Brett will be with us next week. I'm Bob Walters. See ya.